Hi, everyone. For today's class, we'll talk about this topic, elements and principles of different arts. We discussed something like this before, right? The basic elements and principles of art. This one will talk of a particular art, no? Visual arts. I think the last time in general, no? Though that's why it's mentioned here, different arts, no? But actually, we'll focus on visual arts. Okay? The last time, general. Okay, so these are the objectives for today's session. Enumerate the elements of the visual arts. Enumerate the properties and classification of colors. Identify how light affects color. Value the mystery of color perception and uses of the art elements. Now, visual arts, remember we tackled that before, that we can classify arts into two based on medium, visual arts and auditory or audio arts. No? So when you talk of visual arts, we classify it also into two-dimensional and what do you call this? Decorative or commercial. No? Decorative or commercial. So under the two-dimensional, we have the painting, no? Photography, and so on. Whereas in the commercial or decorative art, we have the ceramics or the sculpture, even the sculpture, and so on. Okay, so here we'll talk about the elements of the visual arts, and then the properties and classification of colors is something that we, no, not only you, but we studied in elementary, no? Not all of this, but the basic, no? The basic about colors. We studied them in our art classes, no? In elementary. I think this one is more on science class, no? How light affects color. Okay, so let's dive in to discuss elements of the visual arts. The material that the artist uses in creating a work of art are the medium and the elements put together. An element of art can only be seen in some medium. This element is independent of the medium. For instance, a pencil line or an ink line. The medium is the physical means through which we can come into contact with the work. And we studied that before, right? Regarding the medium. And also this thing, medium and the elements put together. Remember, the word art comes from the Aryan word ar, right? Which means put together. And also from the Latin word ars, which means the ability or skill. That's why when I defined art, I said that it's ability or the skill, no, of the artist to put these basic elements and principles of art together to come up with that artistic work. Okay, so of course the medium is there, no? Putting this medium and elements together, to come up with an artistic work. That's ability and skill. So the role of the artist is very important, no? Because who will put these elements and the medium together without the artist? So it depends on the skill, the knowledge of the artist, no? It depends on that, and or the talent of the artist to put this medium and elements together to come up with artistic work. Okay, so without the artist, medium and these elements are useless, no? And without this medium and the elements, the artist, no use for the artist. No, we can't even call it an art. There's no word artist. No? That is why both of them are needed, no? To come up with an artistic work. The artist, the medium, and the elements. Okay, but not just an artist, also the skill, the knowledge, the talent of this artist. Very important. Because it will affect the output, no? The output or that artistic work. Okay, so yeah, so I read this already, so let's dive in. So one of the elements is line, which you know already, right? When we talk about basic elements of art in general. This one we're referring to the visual arts. As an element, line is the simplest, most ancient, and most universal means for creating visual art. A line is a prolongation of a point. As a prolongation, it may be straight, curved, according to which we can come into contact with a work. So we're familiar with line, right? In geometry or in our math subject, no? In high school geometry, no? But of course in elementary math, but still we associate it with geometry, no? this word line, and then probably there's like inconsistency between what we learned already in geometry and what we're learning now in art regarding line, especially this thing, the curve. Usually in geometry, if it's a curve, we don't associate it with the line. But of course, that's in geometry. This is a different context in art. Okay, so usually when we say line in geometry, we're referring to those two arrows with two arrows, right? The ray and the segment, right? You remember that in geometry? Like if we say line, we're referring to that, no? That one. And then if we also have a ray, no? Okay, we call it like a ray. It's more in geometry. In mathematics, we're kind of more precise, no? And then we also have a segment. So these are for us. Actually, to be more strictly speaking, this is just the line for geometry, no? This is the line. But for art, it's kind of the scope is wider, no? It's wider because the nature of art is different from the nature of mathematics, no? As mentioned in mathematics, the language is precise. Now, if it's line, just this. This one is just ray. Now, this one is segment. Okay. Anyway, so for this art, we can even have this the curve. No, that's why we have a circle here. No, because we have a curve, wherein the element used here is line. Okay, but for this two, no problem. No, they what do you call it? They match what we learned in geometry. No? We have we have a polygon. No? This is like, what do you call this? The hexagon, the rectangle, wherein you have the line also, no? Or the segments in geometry. But of course, in art, we just call them line. No? This one line. Okay, so a prolongation of a point. So remember, because a line consists of points, right? In fact, infinitely many points, right? Actually, 2 points determine a line. However, here prolongation of a point. So that's another context, na? Different from geometry. We even have a thin line, thick line here, or even the dotted line, na? In art. Did you see this line here, like pointed, the pointed line here? We have a line like pointed, no? This one is like a crook. It's a line, but if you look at it, it's kind of rough, no? Okay, so in art, we have different associations to line. Unlike in mathematics, it's more precise, no? More precise. Okay, so that's valid because this is art, no? So no problem with that, no? With the understanding of line in the context of art, no? Okay, so let's proceed. Another element is value. The relative degree of lightness and darkness in graphic work of art or painting. It indicates the degree of luminosity, that is the presence or absence of light. Which we'll talk about later, now this light. Okay, the presence or absence of light. Okay, so in a value scale, white is considered as the highest value, and black is the lowest point. The point halfway between them is called the medium. Okay, so the point halfway between medium and black is classified as dark. It is value which gives the impression of solidity. So impression, meaning impression for the artist and the audience. No? Okay, the value gives the impression of solidity. Okay, actually this is the purpose of the elements. To give impression, whatever that impression is. Later, we'll talk about some impressions regarding colors, because color is also an element of the art. No? That will be later. So any element, yeah, that's what it gives. No? The impression to the artist and the audience. So, but the artist is the one deciding, no? Regarding the impression that he wants to portray to the audience, no? Because it may be different from what he perceives also, no? From what impresses him may be different from what impresses the audience, no? That's also possible to happen. So in a way, we use these elements, the elements that we discussed already, and we will discuss still not in the following slides. Because remember, you put this together, no, these elements together, so you don't just consider this as one element independently. when we talk of impression. Impression as a whole in a way, no? Because all these elements are put together. No? But right now we're talking of just one element and the one impression. Excuse me. But actually, when you look at the artwork, excuse me, what you really, the impression that you really get is the totality, no, of these elements, not just one element. Okay, so let's proceed. At least this one is like the contribution, okay, to the impression. That's why we have to do it independently, so that you will know the contribution of each element to the impression that we see from the artistic work, or the artist, na, intentionally wants the audience to realize from his or her artistic work. Okay, so next is the light and shadow. Light and shadow, known as chiaroscuro, the Italian word for light and dark, is different from value. The value that we discussed. No? Light and shadow is a means of modeling a figure in depth, a means of articulating the form like this. Now, this is a form. Form also is an element, which we will discuss later. But here we can have, because of the light here, the impression now is form shadow and cast shadow. Okay, so that's another element that an artist can use, no, in his artwork or her artwork. Next is form. Yeah, as I mentioned, no? The external appearance of a clearly defined area. It is the visual shape of an object or thing found in nature. Forms are used to describe simple objects, excuse me, and determines the structure of these objects. Excuse me. So forms can be natural, abstract, non-objective, or geometric. So this is an example of geometric. No? Because remember, in geometry, we call this the cone, the sphere, the prism. It can be rectangular or square prism, or even triangular prism. Right? We can even talk of that. And then this one is the cylinder. In fact, we don't have pyramid, no? So it's mentioned here, geometric pyramid also, no? Can be another form, The natural, of course, those with like living things, no? Plants, animals, but human is not included, no, for this one. Though a human can have form also, right? The abstract, non-objective. Usually you see this in though we can see this too also in museum, the natural or even the geometric. However, the abstract and non-objective usually in museum class, right? I think the sculpture. Remember the sculpture? It's a visual art. You can see the form of a sculpture, right? Some sculptures have an abstract form. Others have non-objective form as well. Or even the natural or geometric can be seen also, no? In sculpture. Okay? But more on the abstract and non-objective. Excuse me, for the sculpture as visual art. Remember, we're talking of elements of visual arts, no? Specifically, not in general. Okay, so let's proceed. Texture, the surface quality of an artistic work. It gives variety and beauty to any work of art. Usually, class, when we talk of texture, no, what comes to our mind is rough or smooth, no? How do you know it's rough or smooth? You just touch it, right? Even if you're just closing your eyes, you can say whether it's rough or soft, rough or smooth by touching it, no? But here, class, when you say texture, you don't just use the sense of touch, no? Of course, the sense of sight as well, no? The sense of sight and sense of touch are involved when you talk of texture. Okay, so these two senses are involved when we talk of texture. Actually, when you use a sense of sight, in a way, we can also identify, without touching, whether it's rough or smooth, right? But it's more definite if you use both, okay? If you use both senses. So variations in texture of objects, buildings, and structures help avoid a monotonous effect. So in a way, this is the goal of this element now, to avoid a monotonous effect on the art. no? To avoid that monotonous effect. So we vary the texture in the artistic work or in the artwork to avoid this, to have no monotonous effect in the artistic. Okay, so that's another element. Another is space, an art element which is concerned with making all parts functional so that all of the individual parts contribute to the wholeness and completeness of the art. Remember, you know, the sum of the parts is equal to the whole, right? The sum of the parts is equal to the whole. So this one class, it's more like the whole is greater than the sum of the parts in a way. Because here class, the individual, it's like contributing only, not to the wholeness and completeness of the art. It's not the whole thing. Okay. So that's why it's mentioned here, not contribute. Okay, so other elements for the whole the other elements of the visual art also contribute to the wholeness and completeness, right? So that's why we can say the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Space exists as illusion in the graphic presentation. Okay, so it's, if you look at it, it's flat, but you see space, no, in the picture, no? But it's illusion because it's not really it's just flat. Okay. Yeah, so this one another element of visual art. Another, yeah, the color that I'm talking about. It's the quality. This is the one most common to ask now when it comes to elements of visual art. Now, color. The quality of an object or substance with respect to reflected light. So again, the light here is mentioned, and also the reflection, which we will talk about later. And it's usually determined visually by measurement of hue, saturation, and brightness of the reflected light. Okay, so that's how you produce the color. It's a series of wavelengths which strikes the retina. Okay, every ray of light coming from the sun is composed of different waves which move at different speeds. So this is the thing responsible for the color. No? That's why if you turn off the light, you don't see any color. You actually just see black, no? Dark. Okay. We'll discuss more about this light later. No? Now let's talk about classifications of colors. So those are the elements class that we about regarding visual arts. Now let's focus on one element, which is color. Now let's classify. This one is this is the one I'm mentioning to you. That some of the concepts here you're familiar with, especially the basic, like primary colors. You know primary colors, right? That's very popular to you. The primary colors. So we have red, yellow, and blue. These are called primary colors because all the other colors are produced by combining any of the two colors. So that's why they're kind of basic colors, no? The foundational colors. Okay, the source of kind of source of all the other colors. So next is secondary colors. Now, green, violet, orange. These colors can be produced by mixing any two of the primary colors. You get these three secondary colors. So how do you get orange? What primary colors do you combine? What primary colors do you combine or mixed? How about for the green, for the violet? Okay, let's see the primary colors. So the orange, what do you combine here or mix in equal amount, equal mixture to get to produce orange, which is a secondary color? Red and yellow. Red and yellow. We get orange. No? You try that class. No? You try to experiment or melt the probably crayon, or better the crayon. No? You melt it and then mix the two. You'll come up with a color orange. No? If you mix the two. Okay, then how about the green? How about the green? Yellow and blue. Yellow and blue. Okay, for the green. How about for the violet? The violet. What do you mix? uh, red and blue. Red and blue. So that's all. We obtain all the possible combinations, right? We have red and yellow, orange, yellow and blue, right? Green, and then red and blue, we get violet. Okay, so that's how you combine them in equal amounts to produce the secondary colors. So next is tertiary colors. This is produced by combining in equal measure any two of secondary colors. So this one, you combine any two secondary colors. So you have actually orange yellow is wrong, no? Because yellow is primary, yes, or orange secondary. So let's remove that. Remove this. Violet green, yeah, that's no problem. Violet, I'm sorry. Violet and green, so no problem. That's why the name of that color will be violet green, and then orange green. Orange green. Okay, class? So that's all you have to do to get tertiary colors. The other one is the intermediate colors. This one, the primary and secondary in equal amounts. So in a way, this one, the orange yellow, no? Okay. The red orange, no? Red violet, blue green, yellow green. So for both colors, the tertiary and intermediate colors, you name them based on the two colors that you combine, no? That you mixed. Whereas in the secondary colors, it's the name is far, no? Far from the two primary colors that you combine, right? In a way. Actually, other references class, tertiary colors and intermediate colors are different, no? I mean the same. But in our class, in our module, they're different, no? They are different. Okay, so we're like more specific when we talk about intermediate and tertiary. They're not the same. Okay, so here are the examples now of the different intermediate colors, and then here are the examples of the different tertiary colors. Okay, class? So let's proceed. More about colors. Okay, so this one class will talk of different colors and then the impression that we see when we see the color. What is the impression? Or what idea, concept that we associate with that color? Or you may ask yourself, what's your favorite color? And then how come that's your favorite color? You may have a reason for that, right? Probably that's the impression that you get from the color. So let's see if your impression to the color matches with what we will discuss today. No? Associated, what idea, concept associated to a particular color. Okay, so let's start with black. So black is the darkest and dullest, only considered a color when mixed with other colors. Okay, because that's why if it's dark, you say that you don't see any color, right? Usually that's your expression. Huh? You don't see anything, meaning you don't see any color. Okay, so that's the black. Open, yeah, this was the I'm talking about now, and I think it's familiar to us, right? That when you say black, it's associated with death, no? Gloom, despair, mourning. Okay, so it's kind of negative, no? Impression. That's why you associate that with black. During the wake, that's why we wear black now. Even the burial, but there are those who wear white, no. But still, we most of us wear black, no. If we attend the wake or the burial of somebody or our loved ones, something like that. Okay, so I think this one is, you will all agree, no? When we talk of black, we associate with this idea or concept. Okay, class. Next is blue. One of the primary colors. No, it's the color of the sky and of the deep. It gives the impression of vastness, ocean. That's why of the deep, ocean deep. And when we talk of ocean, we associate it with vastness, no? And the sky is blue. That's why we associate it with infinity in a way, no? Often associated with tranquility, calmness, and peace. Actually, this is my favorite color, no? Blue. Because of this, it matches with my impression, like peace, calmness, tranquility, and also the infinity and vastness. No? When I look at this color, or the sky or the ocean, no? Remember, we associate blue usually to the ocean or to the sky, no? I feel this now when I look at the sky, infinity, because you're talking to God, no? God is infinity, is infinite. And then vastness, the ocean. When I look at it, it's kind of it's vast, no? It's wide. But my feeling usually when I look at it, the emotion that the impression is calmness, peace, tranquility. How about you? What's your favorite color? Others black. There are those who like black. Okay, for certain reason. For me, class, it's not my favorite color, but when I choose my, there are times that I want my shirt to be, or even my pants, or even my bag, or even other things, no, like cell phone. I want it black. Probably for the like shirt or pants because it's not sensitive to dirt, no, or to dust. The color black, even if it's a class, no, even if it's hot, I don't mind. I still wear black, no, not because I associate it with death or gloom, no. It's not. It's just that it's probably because of that, no. Probably some of you also, no, you wear black. No, but it's not my favorite. Probably not your favorite also, or probably your favorite, no, for certain reason. Does it match here? Is that your reason there? So probably not, no. Maybe another meaning for you when you look at black. It has another impression to you. Okay, so let's find out if you have your let's go to let's discuss your favorite color. If not of the student, probably the other, no. Okay, let's proceed. We have the gray, the combination of black and white, or of the three primary colors, no. So you try that class. You combine the red, yellow, and blue. Find out if it's really gray by melting the crayon, no. Try to do that. Now, it's often associated with weight, solidarity, neutrality, this color, no. It's like neither black nor white. That's why probably neutrality, no. This color, gray. Probably it's your favorite color, no, for whatever reason. Okay, next is green. The color still water and vegetation. I understand vegetation, it's green, no, but the still water, I'm kind of hesitant to associate still water to green, no, because when I look at water, I associate it with blue. Probably it has to do with still, no? Still water, no? This word still. Okay, it's often associated with growth, probably because of the vegetation, growth of vegetable or plants, something like that. Freshness, yeah, because of the vegetation, and hope. Okay, so probably does it match with your favorite color and the meaning? Sometimes it's your favorite color, but it doesn't match here, no? You have a different impression. It's possible also. Okay, probably this one is from the point of view of the artist, because remember we're talking about elements of art. So probably from the point of view of artists, these are the concepts or idea associated with this particular colors. Okay, so let's continue. Orange, combination of red and yellow, often associated with deliciousness and sweetness. Okay, because of the because of the taste of this orange. Probably that's the reason for the association of orange to this to this idea. Sweetness, deliciousness. Okay, class. Next is pink. This one, class. Usually it says here often associated with love, but there are those. I also associate pink with not really pink but red, no, because of the Valentine, right? The Valentine, right? Because of the Valentine, usually it's red. But there are those who give pink flowers, no? Pink flowers. But later you will realize that that it's really pink, no? It's more appropriate to associate love to pink, not red. Okay, not red. Because red has other impressions, no? Unlike the pink, it's like only for love, no? Just solely love, no? Okay, and then, but it's close to red, right? It's close to red, the color. Probably this kind of a light, in a way, light red because of the white, no? Because you combine the white and the red. The red is kind of dark the color is like dark. No? The white is kind of like not dark. No? That's why we combine the two. They get something like with an impression of red in the light color that is white. No? Okay, so next is red. Yeah, the red that we're talking of, we associate commonly to love. However, it's not love, but more of fire, blood, danger, festivity, bravery, war, passion, energy, and warmth. So in a way, I agree already, no? That because yeah, when you see the red, it has the impression of war also, no? Blood. So you notice there's kind of positive and negative impressions. No? Energy is kind of positive and warmth, no? Or even the bravery, positivity. But when you come to those like war, danger, blood, fire, it's kind of negative impression. But the passion is still positive. Okay, so with this, we can agree now that pink, I think, is more appropriate to associate with love because we can't associate anything to pink, no, other than love. So it's something to reflect on, class. Because we're used to associating love to red. But however, when you read this, you will realize that, yeah, that I think red is more, and besides, if you look at the color white later, it means it is associated to purity. So it's kind of pure love, no? Pure love. So that's why, in a way, this is like appropriate. Like, okay, if we associate a love to red and white purity, in a way, combining the two, we can think of pure love. Right? Because there are different kinds of love, right? In a way. So that's why it's more appropriate to use pink for love and the red for this. Okay, so next is violet. A combination of, yeah, we learned about this. We combine red and blue, we get violet as secondary color. It often associated with shadows, mourning, penance, royalty, and power. So again, it's a combination. You have negative and positive impression for violet, for the color violet. Royalty and power is kind of positive, right? The mourning, penance is kind of negative impression. Okay, look at the color here. No? It's violet, so it has an impression of royalty. No? So if you want that impression, for example, an artist wants that impression in his artwork, then he will use this color. That impression of royalty and power, then he or she will use this color, no? In his artwork, violet. But of course, it's not just this. No? Other elements will contribute to the wholeness and completeness of that artwork. No? So, meaning this one is just a contribution. So it's not the whole. That's why the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Okay, so next is, so even though we're discussing it one by one, you always remember or remind yourself that it's not like independent, not it's connected to the other elements, and not just those elements, but also with the medium and also the artist, and not just artists, but the skill, talent, and the knowledge of this artist, very important. Okay, and putting these elements together to come up with an artwork. Okay, so again, the artist will be the one to decide what color, no? So probably in his artwork, he will not put this color because he doesn't want that impression to the audience, that impression of royalty and power, no? That's why he will not, or he or she not to use. So that's why artist is very important. Okay, as well as the elements medium. Okay, as I explained that before already, no? I just have to remind you that always because we're discussing one by one. So you may get the impression that we're just dealing with one element, no? When we talk of art. No, we're just discussing the contribution of each element to that art, to the wholeness and completeness of the art. Okay, so let's proceed. White. So this is what I was talking about a while ago. When we combine white to the red to come up with that color of pink, with is associated with love. Okay, so as I mentioned, white is associated with purity. But of course, not only purity, but clarity, peace, and stability. In fact, when I look at the blue class, I can see that peace. I remember that impression of peace because there, I see like there's white in it, no? In that color blue. Or just looking at the sky, no? Like we can see, yeah, of course, there are clouds there. So there's white, but somehow Also the ocean, we kind of associate white with ocean or with blue. Okay, that's why you notice the meaning here is all the same as the blue piece. So it's the lightest of all colors. When taken independently, it's not considered a color. If it's taken independently. Okay, class. So yellow, one of the primary colors, as we all know, it's the color of light. We know that also. We associate light with yellow, often mistaken as color of jealousy, the yellow. Often associated with life, joy, sunshine, cheerfulness, warmth, splendor, and hospitality. So all of them are positive impressions of this color yellow. But the only negative there is the jealousy. That's why often mistaken as color of jealousy, but actually it's more positive impression than the negative impression jealousy. That's why mistaken. Okay, so next is yellow-green. So it's a mixture of yellow and green. So this one is a more of a intermediate color because you combine primary and secondary color. So more of intermediate, a kind of color that's not very pleasant for the eyes, probably because of the when you say not pleasant, hurting to the eyes, probably because of the shiny surface, when you look at it. So it's kind of shiny. Okay, so it's hurting to the eyes, in a way. So that's the idea there. And also, it's a color appropriate for those with fair complexion, as mentioned in your module, okay, and makes one appear darker when you look at the yellow-green. Okay, class. So next is brown. Okay, probably some of you, this is your favorite color, brown. A mixture of red and little green. So there's red in brown, and then a little green. So and then you try that. Now you mix that. If you really get brown. Said to be the safest color, but this one, class, not in equal, a little green, not in equal mixture. Okay, because if you do that, you will get a different color, in equal mixture, you will get something like intermediate color, but what you try to do is a little green to come up with brown. Okay, said to be the safest color, often associated with humility and confidence, because it's more of a kind of, I don't know, the color, it's kind of masculine color, like the black, the blue, this brown here. So it's associated with confidence and humility. I don't know, if this is your favorite, probably you have a different meaning to it, Usually when I look at the tree, the bark of the tree, then I associate the color brown, the bark of a tree. But of course, leaves of the tree, green. Okay, when I think of brown, I think of those, the bark of a tree. So next is, actually, this one is not particular colors anymore. We're talking of general, in general. When we say warm colors, they seem to advance while cool colors seem to recede. So this is our example of warm colors that seem to advance while the cool colors seem to recede. The impression, meaning, not the impression. So warm colors give the illusion under certain conditions that they are closer to the viewer than cool colors do under certain conditions. So if an artist wants to have that impression, then he will use warm colors. The impression that closer to the viewer than that impression, then he or she will use the warm color. Some artists have exploited this quality to deepen or flatten space in their works. So it influences that element of the art called space. This element. So as I mentioned, it doesn't stand alone. This element, they relate each other. They influence each other. One element can influence the other. The other element also can influence, or they influence each other. One element can influence not just one element, but all the other elements. Something like that. That's the meaning of putting these elements together. Okay. The amount, it depends on the artist. The artist will be the one to decide, depending on the meaning that he wants to, that he wants the audience to realize, or the impression that that he wants the audience to get. So he'll be the one to decide how to put these elements together. No? Okay, so if he wants this impression to deepen or flatten space in their artworks, then he will use the warm colors, no, in a way. Okay, so next is color harmony. So again, we're not talking of particular colors anymore. No? So this one has to do with the correct combination and arrangement of colors so that they will appear pleasing to the eyes. A while ago, we talked about unpleasant to the eyes, the brown, no? I'm sorry, the yellow-green, hurting to the eyes. So this one, our goal is for the color harmony to be pleasant to the eyes, pleasing to the eyes, no? So that's the goal of the color harmony. And we have different harmony here. Oh. Complementary, split, complementary, you have this too. No? Split complementary, analogous, triadic, tetradic, square. But we'll discuss this in the more about this. I'll leave this part to you. You can Google this. Let's discuss this too. First, the monochromatic. Monochromatic, this harmony employs only one color with its tints and shades. That's very obvious here, you know, the shades and tints. Now, example, the red. Harmonizing with red using monochromatic colors are red, medium red, and dark red. We can see this in this example. And also here, you notice here, probably this one is the red, no? The monochromatic. Then we have here the green, the blue. Okay, so that's it for the monochromatic. Next is the analogous harmony. The uses of colors which possess one common color in all their mixture. One common color in all this mixture. Like for example, this one, yellow, yellow, orange. The common here is yellow. Okay, so orange, red, orange, and yellow, orange. The common is orange. So that's why it's mentioned. These colors are found near each other in the color chart. Did you see that in the color chart? They're near each other, no? An example is the combination of orange, red, orange, and yellow, orange, because you see the common among the three. No? Okay, so that's the analogous harmony mentioned here. Okay, class, about color harmony. So harmony meaning harmonized, harmonizing. Okay, so since it's harmony, meaning it should be pleasant to the eyes. Because if we harmonize them, these colors, then it will be pleasant to the eyes. Okay, class. So next is how, now this is what we're waiting for. How light determines color. How light determines color. Okay, with good reason, a woman buying a dress will often take it out into the daylight to see the true colors, right? That's common sense. Not only with good reason, but it's common sense, no? Because how can you see the color if it's if there's no light? Okay, now it says here she usually finds that any color in the fabric is far more pronounced in sunlight than under fluorescent lamps, which concentrate much of their energy into the blue wavelengths of the spectrum. So meaning the natural light, sunlight, and the artificial light, fluorescent light. Now, if you want to see a pronounced color, you look at the thing, the object, under the natural light. Okay? Because it considering much of their energy into the blue wavelengths of the spectrum. Okay, that's the reason for the pronounced color. No? It has to do with that. Sometimes if you use just the fluorescent lamps, there's problem with identifying the true color. So better under the natural light. But of course, even if it's fluorescent, you can still identify it. It's just that it's artificial light. No, better to use the sunlight. Okay. Well, the energy of sunlight is distributed evenly through the spectrum, thus giving the fabric sufficient red light to reflect. Okay. So next is mystery of color perception. The mystery of color perception. Okay, Isaac Newton first speculated on how colors are perceived, and yet the phenomenon of seeing in color, which man shares with a number of other animals, including apes, goldfish, and bees, is now only beginning to be clearly understood. So it's more of like a phenomenon. No? Phenomenon. It's a situation, event perceived by the senses. Now, when you say phenomenon, so indeed, we use our senses here. No? The sense of sight. It has been a major problem that color vision involves physiological process. whereby light energy is transferred into color signals to the brain, and physiological process by which the brain interpret the signals. That's the meaning of physiological process. As an early theorist, Thomas Young, could present a satisfactory explanation of color vision as purely physiological action, in which a combination of three colors is sufficient to create an hue. So in a way, class, this is true, no? Because if you look, if you will, think about it, all the colors all come from the combination of the three primary colors. That is red, yellow, and blue. Because to produce secondary colors, you combine two of the primary colors. To get the intermediary colors, what do you do? Or the tertiary colors first. You combine any two of the secondary colors. But the secondary colors, you obtain it from primary colors. So in effect, the tertiary colors, you obtain it from primary colors, right? Similarly, for intermediate colors, how do you get intermediate colors? You combine in equal mixture primary and secondary colors. So in a way, in secondary colors, you obtain it from primary. So in a way, intermediate colors, you obtain it from primary colors. So all the colors, you get it from the combination of the two of the three primary colors, right? So that's the thing mentioned here. And it's purely a physiological action, the color perception. Okay, so next is uses of art elements. So here, class, we have three uses of art elements. No? The first one is, when you say art elements, the elements we discussed a while ago, no? Particularly for visual arts. Symbols. These are made up of different shapes used to depict or symbolize objects. That's why symbols. No? Objects are simplified so that only the prominent part is represented. Okay, here actually we have mathematical symbols. No? If you look at them, more mathematical symbols. Okay, that's one use. Another is pictures. This one is the most common to us now when it comes to the uses of art elements. No? This one. The use of the art elements gives the difference of how pictures are being represented. The use of the art elements. Of how it gives the difference of how pictures are being represented. Meaning, again, the artist, not the one using the art elements, the one combining this. So still the role of the artist here, very important on how the picture is to be represented. Because the one who will decide in putting these elements together, the artist. Okay, the conservative artist. Okay, as mentioned here, the conservative artists represent things exactly as they seem them in nature, like this. While a modernist tries to interpret nature as they feel it, like this. That's why you notice this one is like not realistic, no? Because it depends on what the artist wants to, the audience to feel, no? Similar to what he feels, no? Something like that. That's why he probably I put this different colors in the artwork. Whereas here, class, this is more realistic, no? Because that's a conservative artist. Okay, so that's we use the art elements in the pictures, no? Next is the last one, emotion. Actually, class, for this one, yeah, the emotion is also included here now. So anyway, let's talk about emotion expressed by the different elements which symbolize or suggest feelings. That is despair, mourning, hope, love, passion, hate, anger, fear, and this one we see this in the colors, na? In the colors, these impressions. And actions like conflict, struggle, crying, violence, kissing, and laughing. So very important, no? So this is the use of art elements because, as I mentioned, in colors, now we see this, different emotions. Now, that's why if you want an emotion of love, you use pink, not like this, not pink. Okay, so so the one we discussed regarding colors and the impressions from the point of view of the artist, na? From the point of view of the artist, because probably to you, you may have different impression because that's your that's from you, from your point of view. But the one we discussed regarding colors a while ago and their impressions have to do with the artist and then the point of view. Okay, class. So I think that's it. That's it for this lesson. Yes. So that ends the lesson for this week, class. Thank you very much for attending. Bye for now.